vydá osla svého ležícího umrlého, já se plakat pro něho, di la la la.
Greetings and welcome to Georgian Crossroads, and we continue our Prague Diaries. This time we are going to find two towers. We're actually climbing into two different towers. One tower will be the Powder Gate, and the other tower will be the Clock Tower. And I think you will find these interesting and maybe a little bit claustrophobic and maybe a little bit vertiginous. Yes, I know there's lots going on in the world today, but I decided it's time to get back to this. I would have finished up this series quite a while ago, at least a week or two ago, had I not, had the world not entered this strange zone. But I will get back to what's going on in Georgia very soon. Meanwhile, let's explore two of Prague's many towers. So the first tower is the Powder Tower, or the Powder Gate. And it's the entrance from Náměstí Republiky, which is also in English known as the Republic Square. And this was indeed used to store gunpowder. I love these steps going up, and there were a lot of them. Now, I kept running into all of these statues on the way, but I'm not going to show you many of them because I'm going to save that for a special all-statue episode of the Prague Diaries. Meanwhile, really beautiful stained glass windows evidently in the rooms. What would happen is you would climb up and you would arrive. You had to buy a ticket at the bottom. You would then climb up these really narrow, steep steps, and you'd come to a point where there was an opening, a larger room. And this is the second level. So I'd already gone to the first level. This is the second level, which, again, more stained glass. And you look around. There's usually someone there, a docent, who would look after you, make sure, and maybe answer any questions or protect you from doing something stupid to the statues or the grotesques on the wall. But then you would go on through another series of extremely narrow steps, a beautiful place to develop claustrophobia, which I do not have in any degree. I like narrow spaces. I've always liked caves and hiding under things. But this is the roof of the second level up, and it's very beautiful. It was actually made in 1475, the tower was. And it was kind of designed not to be so much a tower and a gate to keep people out, but rather it was mostly designed for looks. That is to say, to look beautiful. It was, when they made it, they designed it to kind of go with the Charles Bridge, Karlova Most. The tower is 66 meters tall, which is 216 feet roughly. And there's a lookout tower at the 44-meter zone, about 144 feet. And it felt like it. So this is going up further. I think it's about 100 steps up here. And it's fascinating how much serious scratching and mutilating graffiti there is. there's no camera and someone's name is more important, and they probably think they'll be here forever. And it goes up and up and up. And that's some real stairs. Those were the real stairs. And as you can tell, I was completely out of breath, just going up and up and up. I'm not the most in shape person in the world as it is, but nevertheless, some more of these very odd statues. Statues in Prague are one of my favorite parts of visiting, and there are so many of them. But again, I'm going to have an all-statue episode coming up near the end of this Prague Diary series. What do you think of that? A snake, and this one's really weird. This is a gargoyle. What's the difference between a gargoyle and a grotesque? The gargoyle is the thing that actually drains liquid off the side of the building. The grotesque is any other shape that's up there. And now I'm at the top at the 44-meter level. Absolutely spectacular view. This is what people are missing when they don't go into places like this. And like I said, I have not been up here myself, and this is my 6th rather serious trip to Prague. And so you climb along this narrow passageway between the roof and the outside wall looking out. They actually had a Battle of Prague in 1757 between the Prussians from the Germans, and the Austrians. I guess they're both Germanic. They're both pretty much Germans. They renovated the tower after the battle in 1876, bringing it up to what it basically looks like today. This is a very spooky place. I'm on top of what's called the Powder Tower and climbed over 100 steps, and very irregular medieval steps at that. Many of them sufficiently higher than the usual step we are used to. Which then begs the question, if medieval people were supposed to be smaller than we are, how did they get such big steps? But this is a very eerie spot. The tower is quite dark, but and you go around the parapet and it just has this strange feeling to it. I like it. I like the oddness of it, the darkness and gloominess. I love looking down on these streets. There are very few cities as beautiful as Prague, and they actually really work at keeping it that way. They realize, their money is coming from people visiting. Plus, they have a lot of respect for their architecture and statuary. Now, I wanted to go over to the clock tower of the Old Town Square Town Hall and go up there. I'd never been up there either, but it was raining that day, so I had to wait for another day. Now, the most famous thing about the clock tower is the orloj, the astrological clock. People often come there, especially during the quieter times in the morning, late at night. But in the morning they come and they often get wedding photos there. Some wedding garment, I think it was a wedding garment, in a black dress. But this time I was basically ignoring it because I wanted to look at the things I normally don't look at, like these grotesques on the front door of the town hall. And these are absolutely amazing bits of statuary. And this is what's going over that door. And if you start really examining these things, you will see creatures and incredible shapes. This tower was built, there was an old house there. And they got permission to build the town hall out of it in 1338. So that's when work began. I'm sure it took more than a year to finish. This is the inside of the town hall. This is what superior artistic taste will do for you if you want to compare this to any building built in the last, 50 years. Give me this any day. So to get up to the tower, you have to pay an admission, take an elevator up a couple of stories, and then they give you a choice of walking upstairs or taking this elevator. Well, I decided to walk, which was quite an interesting journey, because what I didn't realize was how high it goes. And you can't even see the top at all from this vantage point. So I started walking. It looks almost like a prison inside there with a weird cosmic psychedelic design. Almost, somewhere between Art Nouveau and Art Deco design inside there, except I think it's much newer than that. We'll call it postmodern. So I started walking, and you just go around and around and around and around and around. Quite fascinating. And I didn't really think about it. I just kept moving relentlessly with my camera. I was, following a lot of the journey, just making sure I was getting the image on my camera because I thought it was fascinating. So I wasn't paying too much attention to where I was going. Now, one thing you'll notice is this is very different inside from the Powder Tower, the Powder Gate. It is completely open, and it is, if you take the elevator, it would just take a minute to get up here, although it's a glass elevator, so you can see all the way up. And I suppose for the squeamish, that would be difficult. But for those afraid of heights, this is far, far more difficult. And I got to a point where I suddenly stopped, and I stopped to look out of one of these windows. And as I did, I was suddenly seized by a kind of vertigo that I haven't had since I was a very young child. And I looked outside, and you can see the people waiting for the clock tower straight below. Not many, because we're not near the top of the hour, but it was walking up. When I was young, I had a fear of heights. I got over it. It's a story I tell somewhere in one of my videos, I believe. But what happened was suddenly I was gripped. On one side, you have this straight down, this is almost like something out of a dream I've had. And I've had lots of dreams about interior stairways. I'll definitely have to go back and really look at this someday. But on the other hand, it was having on one side this really vertiginous fall, and on the other side, having a window open that I think, well, the window wasn't open, but it was just, you were just kind of there in the middle of the air for just a minute. And so from there till I got to the top, now this shows you really how much further it is down to the bottom. And there's about, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 floors, but it's completely open. I mean, if you wanted to be, shall we say, less concerned with life, that would be the place to be. So, but I finally got to the top, and I'm looking out, and across the way from me is the teen church, TYN, not teen as in teenagers. And you could see down below the Jan Hus statue, and Jan Hus used to preach at the teen church. And overall, it was just a stunning place to be. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to look around at the different vistas from the top, get over my vertigo, which I did, and just let some music play here. Found that interesting. I did. I was actually very impressed. I've been to Prague, This was my 6th trip, and none of these are, in and out kind of your usual tourist journey, don't spend more than a few days here kind of trip. This time I was there for 3 weeks, and I have never actually been inside those towers, and it is quite something to do. So the next time you're in Prague, do these things early in the morning while you're one of the few people there, or better yet, do it on a rainy day. An excellent thing to do. Well, this is Byrne for Georgian Crossroads saying thanks for watching. We will get back to our usual Georgian content very soon. We do have several more of these Prague Diaries to get to. Meanwhile, Drolebit. From Tbilisi, this is Byrne. Nachwandis.
A vy všichni bavoři, voca z voslí odneste a na něm se pověste, li la la la. Můj milý člověče, blíží se svítání. Slyšíš, milé kohoutky,